Welcome to the Up and Nerd Podcast. I'm your man host Kyle with my co-host Dan and Greg.
How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing well.
Yeah. So, quick in and out, news-wise, not a whole lot. First one I wanted to tell on the positive side of things, because I didn't tell you about this one. Oppenheimer stands to break the precedent of highest grossing film that's never topped the box office.
Highest grossing film that what?
Never topped the box office.
Because it came out with Barbie, and Barbie's crushing it right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's getting more. It's actually getting more and more people watching it after the fact instead of opening weekend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So a lot of people are liking it. They tested 11 theaters and it made well over $17 million in 11 theaters.
It's a great movie. Like I said, if you like history, it's an awesome movie.
Yeah. So I figured I'd bring you that side of news while we had something nice to talk about.
I mean, Barbie's crushing it right now. I heard.
Yeah. Before we talk about this,
I heard it's actually pretty funny. I know someone watched it. They're like, it's a pretty funny movie. And I'm like, well, I'm still not gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'm still not gonna watch it either till it's free.
Right.
Because I don't know if my eyes can handle that much pink.
Here's a Forbes.com thing talking about. Oh, you haven't got to that subject yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, we're about to.
We're gonna jump into it.
Yeah. So the piece of news that was really sad. Now, this is the second most exciting thing I could find because of the writer's strike. There's not a whole lot of good cinema news out right now. Everything's like, oh well, this guy's tweet makes you feel bad about this, and just really lame news. So this one was they chose that the third sister from Obi-Wan is a great, near perfect character that matches the depth of Darth Vader.
So here's where I'm at. Forbes.com. No, Disney. A Reva Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff is a terrible idea because 87% of the critics like it, 54% of the audience liked it.
Yeah. No.
And they're like, many fans are simply disappointed for one reason or another. Many fans are simply confused and disappointed for one reason or another. Where's the quote at? 3 female characters whose names all have 4 letters and sound almost the same.
What?
Reva, Leia, and Tala.
Who cares?
I don't know. That's what they're saying. I'm just going with that.
She sucked.
She was not good.
None of us liked her.
Anyways, I'm being sidetracked. My point is, Disney's Obi-Wan Kenobi show has been a very mixed bag with a very disappointing Vader showdown, a ridiculous rescue mission, plucked that straight out of A New Hope, and lots of other things going wrong.
It's ridiculous. Now, I did like Obi-Wan. I did like the show. She was like a bad spot.
She was. I'm going to only use this because I can. Because out of the 3 of us, I'm the only one dark enough to say.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
she was the black sheep of that show, literally and storyline wise.
Look, no one can see you, Kyle. You don't sound like a black guy.
I know, but I'm
like a stereotypical black guy. Should I air quote this?
Yes. I'll put bunny ears in the show.
So people can see it.
Oh, they're seeing me because I've done.
By the way, if you're doing bunny ears, it better be pink.
We were all on video when he did Choo Choo Charles. Remember?
Yep. Plus the original show announcement when we were all standing there and you guys were standing over me.
How do you know?
Like I was being kidnapped.
They're not even gonna see him. I was in camera. I probably blinded him.
With your pale white skin.
Your pale white skin.
There's 2 white guys, a dark guy, and there's a massive lens flare. So, no, she was just not good. Her character sucked. Her motivation sucked. Her storyline sucked.
Yeah, I mean, her whole arc through the show was
overly convoluted.
Okay, how about this one? This goes... I think this is for her to have her own show is a terrible idea because I find the character so jarring because, let's face it, neither Star Wars fan favorites of Boba Fett nor Obi-Wan can successfully carry their own show. How will a little-known and not much like Inquisitor make it work? Especially since she got destroyed by Vader.
Yeah, what's her show
going to be? And he's technically still recovering.
What's the show going to be?
Yeah, was she gonna split off from?
Well, she's no longer Inquisitor now.
Look,
she's an open betrayer.
Well, yeah, right. That's what I mean. She's just gonna split off from.
The only way the show would work is if they actually bit the bullet and admitted she's not powerful, and then she goes on her own personal journey thing,
right?
And then comes around to not being evil anymore. You know, she's not going to try to kill Vader anymore because that's not what light side people do.
Yeah.
Unless she runs into, and then she runs into him some point, holds her own, then runs away, and then tries to help some other people. That's the only way it would work.
I forget she was a youngling, right?
She was one of the
younglings that Anakin was killing, and she survived.
Yeah, she survived.
Right.
Because she hid.
Because to be honest, compared to Vader's rage, she has nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
He got betrayed by his best friend, his wife,
died,
and then he got left for dead on a volcanic planet.
High ground.
And so she's not going to win that.
No. Especially when she's trying to out Dark Force him.
That was a great scene, though.
Well, they're doing the...
Because I just like when he was holding up the lightsaber to the Force and like...
They're doing, what's her name? My girl, Rosario Dawson.
Yeah, I know. The Ahsoka.
Ahsoka, yeah.
And they have characters from the Rebels show and stuff.
It looks good. I've seen previews for it, actually.
Yeah, I will give it its fair chance. But you can definitely tell with that makeup, Rosario Dawson's getting up there in age.
Well, I mean, she's in her 50s.
I know, but I'm saying it's starting to, like, her looks are starting to diminish because of her age.
I don't think so.
She's
still very attractive. But
she's supposed to... Kyle, it's like 20-some years after the Clone Wars anyway.
Right.
So, and she was like a young adult. Maybe she can pull off 40s, maybe. So that's fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Besides, she's covered in, like, orange makeup.
Yeah, right.
I know you're really detail-oriented, dude, but come on.
Sometimes.
Not all the time.
He goes, I want to criticize...
Not when we watch Velocipaster.
I ignore a lot of details in that.
I want to criticize Rosario Dawson, and I'm going to criticize Rosario Dawson. I don't care,
man. She's fine. I
love I'm not saying she's fine, but it's just like Salma Hayek starting to really show her age.
Yeah, she's what, 60?
Yeah.
Okay, you can, like, forgive her a little bit. Shut up.
Right. Jeez.
In the last 10 years since she turned 60.
They have the money to preserve themselves.
Selma Hayek is 56.
Sorry, that's close.
Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston, I think, is the same age.
But yeah, I don't know why they're acting. Well, here's the thing. We also saw the writing on the wall with this one right after Obi-Wan finished, and everyone was like, "She's such a great character," and Disney was really trying to.
Although the Ahsoka movie show is kind of like a girl power show, a little bit.
54.
A little bit.
As long as she stays a
except the robot.
Listen, I just want to be honest. The only reason I want to watch it is because of Rosario Dawson.
I understand that.
Yeah. Like, as long as they keep her a Grey Jedi.
I don't know her story. You guys know her story. I don't know her story.
Basically, she was
being trained under Luke at one point.
No, Anakin.
Oh, Anakin.
Anakin was her Padawan.
Because there's a show called Clone Wars where it's a cartoon, and then like he was fighting in the Clone Wars, and then like Yoda and Obi-Wan just like threw a youngling at him.
Okay.
Because like they're like he needs to be having an apprentice. Maybe he'll calm down a little bit.
Yeah.
And it didn't do any of those things.
Yeah. Actually, probably did the opposite.
So what happened is, as he was teaching her, and you know all the wars going on, so some people were traitors for the Jedi. Jedi started doing more grayer areas of tactics to be able to get advantage.
Yeah.
And she started noticing it, and she left the Jedi because she got to the point where she's like, I don't think either side's right now.
Right.
So she hauled off and left. And that's kind of her, where she drops off for a while until the Rebels show, which was in between Last Hope and all that stuff during Rogue One.
And also the reason why she has that perspective is because she was a youngling and an apprentice during wartime.
Right.
Yeah.
So she's very practical about almost everything.
Right, I got it.
Like she has her ideals, but she wants to do it the best, easiest way possible.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't like screw around.
She was the one that refused to train Grogu or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she didn't refuse to train Grogu. She was just to stay with Luke and help train Grogu.
Right.
Luke wanted her to join the Jedi his new Jedi temple and try to revive the Jedi, and she's like, no, I'm good. I'm going to Qui-Gon Jinn this. Because
it's Qui-Gon Jinn, right?
Yes. Because her thing is, when she was young, she had the perfect ideals. Like, the Jedis were solitary good guys and virtuous. And once she started seeing some of the other people do some gray area stuff to be able to win this war, and it wasn't as clear-cut as black and white, she left. And then during her travels, she became a gray Jedi, where she'll, she's a lot more practical with her powers. Where it's not just, oh, I have to be good. She's just like, you know what? Being angry sometimes helps.
Right. Oh, yeah, obviously.
Yeah. But she goes, I'm going to use my anger for the good side of things.
yeah, right. It's a weird thing for me for people to say that you can't use anger because obviously you get angry.
Because there are very few guys who can do it that way. Like Luke doesn't get angry really, not after he took out Vader to kill the Emperor.
Right.
He doesn't see the point of it.
Yeah.
But,
so he's.
He's done an incredible amount of stuff without any Force powers.
Right.
Yeah. Like even Yoda, in his younger days, was actually tempted by the dark side a couple times. They have books about him.
Well, I would imagine that it would probably be a common theme through most Jedi.
Plus he's 800 years old. So.
Yeah, right.
Right. So he's got the time to.
Did you see that they're remaking the Lord of the Rings?
They're not.
There's an animated movie coming out.
No, they're remaking the trilogy. They're remaking the whole trilogy.
Oh Jesus! That's gonna be a gigantic dumpster fire. If anything, if that's true.
Because the last thing
Warner Brothers' new Lord of the Ring movies can fix a Peter Jackson's trilogy, is the headline.
Oh yeah, that's the animated movie that's coming out. It's War of Rohirrim.
They're gonna do more than one.
They're planning.
It's kind of like a history stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna go over the fine details of things that were missed in the trilogy movie. So there was a lot more to the Battle of the Two Towers and the last movie. There was a lot of stuff that happened that they didn't go over in the books.
Why are they doing an anime?
Because it's what's popular and it'll get them fans.
Well, number one, the Amazon series bombed no one's business. So that was $1 billion.
And plus,
a couple
here's
$1 billion
the thing.
down the tubes. But whatever.
Everyone that was in the original cast is not going to hold up looking. They're all very different looking from when they were in the show, in the movie originally. So that is a good option. If you can't get your actor, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's the next best thing. And, because that was on my list of things that was coming up. Because I was looking at shows and movies that are coming up that I was interested in.
Oh, here's your Oppenheimer becomes highest grossing film ever to never top a box office.
Yeah.
Grossed over $270 million in 4 weeks.
Okay, so no, they're not remaking the Lord of the Rings. They're just kind of filling in, like Kyle said, filling in the blanks, sort of.
Yeah, it's all the blank stuff.
It's more extra stuff. They could do stuff from anything. Well, the Amazon series messed up a ton of stuff. So I'm not going to get into how they made hobbits ruthless idiots who just left everybody to die if they couldn't keep up. But anyway, I digress.
So on my list of shows that were coming up that I just looked through is the Penguin show for
what?
the Batman universe.
I thought you said Pangolin.
No,
what is it? What does an armored rodent have to do with this?
No matter what you do, no matter how many times you go back in time, I still that penguin. Pangolin.
Yeah. Oh, South Park. Castlevania Nocturne, which is on Netflix, which is the animated anime version of Castlevania, which was really good. Let's see, we got Daredevil Born Again coming out sometime in Disney.
Daredevil.
Yep.
That's based on a comic book series where, I forget which one that is.
Is that the one who becomes possessed?
No, he doesn't get possessed. Whatever. I think the Born Again. I'm not sure if the Born Again is ones where Karen overdoses on cocaine and dies. But anyway.
Yep. Then we have Spider-Man Freshman Year. They're apparently going to be working on it.
So college?
I guess.
I hope so.
Then we have Marvel Zombies.
Deadpool 3 was officially removed from the release schedule.
Yep. Writer strike screwing everything up.
How about it?
We have Ahsoka. Star Wars Acolyte. I know nothing.
Listen, I'm getting sick of the Star Wars crap, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no. Don't get me wrong. I'm just putting down the things that are interesting enough to look forward to. The live-action One Piece movie.
All I'm looking forward to at this point is October 13th, Exorcist.
Yep.
Oh, and then November is Napoleon on Apple.
Yep.
That's gonna be a good. I think that's gonna be a good one.
Yeah.
I can never pronounce his name right. What is it?
What?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Joaquin.
Joaquin Phoenix.
It's It's pronounced kind of like a Spanish.
Okay.
Is that who it is for?
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, that's who's playing.
He's like 50-some and somehow playing a 28-year-old Napoleon. But whatever.
Is it during his second reign or his first reign? I know they're only
No, it's his whole life.
A few years
Dude,
apart,
it starts out at the beginning of his career when he was like 24 and like a lieutenant. And then he was 20 years old, lieutenant. Then he does the whole thing suppressing the
by like
protesters.
27 he becomes
Like a general and stuff.
Yeah,
And then by the time he's in his 30s, is like the emperor and stuff.
and then he's banned, and then he comes back,
And then he goes
through
and
his
then
second
Waterloo, and then
Yeah.
he goes there and dies of arsenic poisoning.
right.
Yeah. So
Because of wallpaper of all things.
it's
Because that's the working theory,
we're definitely getting into
Because they had arsenic in the wallpaper.
heavy remake territory or spin-offs. Like that seems.
And then they have another series called Echo, which is based on Daredevil, which I don't remember what Echo is.
Neither do I. There was something else. Oh, they're predicting that The Exorcist will destroy Saw 10 in the box office.
Oh, I 100% believe it.
Same here.
100%.
I don't even
It's
know.
not even gonna be close. Not even gonna be close.
It's a lot more complex for one thing, as far as like stories and emotions go. Because Saw is just about dread and not knowing how you're gonna die.
And then,
as far as I can
secretly
tell.
teach everyone's horrible or has secrets or whatever. It's not being.
And it's like vaguely like Dark Side Star Wars, where there's a master and an apprentice thing going on all the time. And I haven't even watched the movies really, but I'm like, why do people keep coming up and trying to be like this
You
guy?
talking about Saw?
Yeah.
No, I can't. I quit.
That's what I'm saying.
The first one was okay. It was fine.
The first one was fine.
The
second one was fine.
the second one after that was a little below. It was like, all right, I can watch it. And after that,
I like the second one a lot because it set up a lot of.
You know the other thing that made Saw bad? It inspired other directors to do other crappy remakes of like ones where they're in an escape room, but it's a torture chamber and they have to get out somehow.
Right.
And who's
like
gonna
in that movie
die?
Escape Room.
Oh, you mean
Well, there's one that's not called Escape Room, but it's basically the same concept.
Yeah, I know.
I forget what it's called, but whatever.
I can't stand the Souls. I don't like the Souls. Can't stand
No,
them.
I stopped liking them after the second one.
That's what I literally just said that, and you're like, no.
No, you said the second one was less than the first.
He just says no to you because that's all he says.
No.
I said the first one's a good movie, a fine movie.
Yeah.
The second one I think is below the first one, but still okay. And then the third one's trash. And after that,
for me, the
they're all
second one I
garbage.
felt was better than the first one.
Really?
Because there was a lot of things I liked about it because it was setting up for the first one, and it set up a lot of things the right way for the first one.
The only reason the first one's even good for me is because it has the Men in Tights guy in it.
I like the part where he cuts his leg off.
I like Cary Elwes. He's good.
Yeah, so
I just kept hearing "As You Wish" every time he's doing something.
As you wish.
As you wish. Or like rodents of unusual size.
The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
oh my god.
Using that too.
Inconceivable. I don't think you know what that word means. That's a good movie. I like that movie, actually.
Yeah, they're actually planning on doing another one. It's like-
Another Princess Bride?
Yes.
Why
Really?
would they need a remake?
Yeah, why would they need to redo
I
that?
don't know. Why do they need remakes on anything?
That's not
Who are they going to get to play Andre the Giant's part?
nobody.
I don't know.
There's literally no
Ooh.
one.
Speaking of hard parts to replace, people are having such an issue with the new Snow White movie.
There's a new Snow White movie?
They're working on a live-action Snow White movie.
Oh, I heard that they're mad that they're not going to have the Seven Dwarfs. You're right, I did hear about that.
They first announced they were going to do it, and then they announced that they were just going to take 7 regular actors
yeah.
and digitally make them dwarfs.
No, they weren't going to make them dwarfs at all.
No. The first thing was they were going to digitally make them dwarfs. So then all the actors and anybody that's played that was a dwarf or a little person had a fit.
How about
Well,
this?
yeah, I would too.
Here's a.
I would too, because that's a big opportunity for
Yeah.
them.
So then, when they freaked out about that, then they went, well, we'll just make them regular-sized people. And then they're like, it's Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs, not
Snow. Okay.
Snow White and her 7
Here-
train victims.
Here's a headline that caps Snow White and the 7 politically correct companions.
Politically correct.
Correct
Because there's some black guy. There's actually a dwarf in there.
There's actually a dwarf in there. He said.
Yes, there's one dwarf. See,
One dwarf.
and there's a black guy and an Indian dude and a couple other people.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and Snow White's not pale enough.
a black guy, a black woman. That's Gal Gadot.
Gadot.
Is it Gadot?
It's Gadot.
Or is it Gadot?
It's Gadot.
Gal Gadot is apparently playing the Wicked Witch or whatever
Yeah.
in that the evil witch in that movie.
Yeah.
7 dwarves become diverse group of magical creatures for Snow White live action movie.
I would be mad too though. Like I'm sure there's not. That's a big opportunity. That's probably gonna be a big movie for them to be in.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I'd be upset if I was a dwarf or a midget as well.
Yeah, or a little person.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
politically
Whatever.
correct term.
Or
Politically
here's-
correct.
there's a
I'm
lot of
sorry-
good headlines.
I'm sorry, I'm not as politically correct as most people. I
Here's-
don't mean it in a bad way.
No, and I know what you mean, and that's just like, you know, and this is funny because I saw it on a news thing where they bought one of the actors that is a midget or a dwarf,
Yeah.
and they got on the subject about pronouns, and it was so funny because it's some English guy. I can't think of his name to save my life, but he goes, you know, this person's he goes, it's called Snow Knight and the Seven Dwarfs, and the other person who's very, he goes, that's a wrong term. You shouldn't call them dwarfs. Have that, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, but that's the name of the book and the original story, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. And then the little person actor goes, yeah. He goes, that's what they're called.
There is a separation between them.
most-
There's dwarfs and midgets.
most-
There's literally a
But
term
no,
for both of them.
she goes, well, don't you find it offensive that they keep calling you dwarf? He goes, no, I'm
No,
dwarf.
I'm a dwarf.
Well, not-
exactly.
For another thing, those people get like criticized all the time for being small or what have you. They're tougher than most normal people. Oh yeah, here's another headline. Disney remake mocked. Off-White and the 7 diversity hires.
Off-White.
Yeah, she's Off-White.
She's not Snow White.
No, she's Off-White. Yeah.
Oh my god. So we were talking about how that there was a lot of controversy over this new Snow White movie. And what was it called, Dan? In your
Snow White and the 7 diversity
No,
hires.
it was
No, the one-
Off-White.
Off-White and the 7. Sorry, I'm so used to saying
It's
on
got an
Snow
article called Off-White and the
7 diversity hires. Yeah.
Which, Dan, I'm going to ask you to save that and send it to me so I can put it on the show.
It should be, and I go back to this. It should be little people. It's a big opportunity for them to get a part in a big. What's going to be probably a big movie.
And then when the person of PC encouragement was like, well, no, that's degrading to you because that's the only part they want you to play. The guy goes, yeah, I'm a little person.
Yeah.
He goes, what?
How many? Yeah. What do you
He
think?
goes, you get offended if they had put a white person in a black role, wouldn't you? He goes, yeah. He goes, well, I'm offended that you're putting a tall person in a role that's for me.
Right. Yeah. Right.
All right, I sent it to you. It's on your messages.
Sweet. So it's super hard, and it's getting harder to replace roles. And that was the original point of this, is when you said about who they're going to replace Andre the Giant with.
Yeah. I don't understand. I don't know who you replace him with.
Who are you going to replace any of these characters with naturally? Like,
It's like the other week when we were talking about what character were we talking about, and then one of the options was that guy with the giant forehead. What's the guy with the giant forehead's name? I forget his name.
Yeah. What the hell were we talking about?
Whatever, I don't know. But anyway, the guy with a giant forehead and didn't make any sense for that role. I don't remember.
What the hell were we talking
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember the conversation. I just don't remember what it was about.
I don't know. Never mind.
We go off on tangents on this.
Oh, you were talking about a villain. What? A villain in the MCU.
No.
You guys,
It wasn't. It obviously wasn't the.
you guys were talking about a villain in the MCU.
It obviously
And then we were talking about the guy who plays Flame or whatever.
Johnny Storm.
Oh yeah,
Johnny
it was him, Johnny Storm.
Oh, yeah, it was
It was Johnny Storm.
There-
yeah, because
and
we
the guy
talked
was,
about the one guy suggested for him had a giant forehead.
and I was like, he goes, "You giant forehead MCU villain." I thought you were talking about the leader who has like a giant head.
No.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking
The
about.
leader.
No, I was just running through the conversation in my head.
Well, good job. I didn't think of that
Good
because
job.
I know he's not totally wrong for Johnny Storm, so I don't
So-
associate with him at all. So
So, where everything's at is it's like, okay, I could see in this situation where they would maybe digitize somebody a lot bigger than what they are for the Andre the Giant role.
I guess they could do something.
New Princess Bride remake. That was back in 2020 though.
I guess they could do what they did with what's his name in the Green Mile. He really wasn't that big, but they made him seem.
It was all down angle shots.
Yeah, right.
Where they made him seem way bigger. So it's
not as authentic if it's not a real person though, and they don't need to remake the Princess Bride. The original one's way awesome.
Yeah.
Just release it in theaters again. I don't know. If you have the rights to it.
Yeah. So
it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's everything we've come across.
It's just
so
like,
let's go to stuff we've watched.
Not much.
Not much. Not anything super new. Usually we have 2 or 3 episodes in the time, but we only.
Right.
I went to Knoebels last week and we skipped a week. So.
And he also got a back injury. And I
did get a back injury.
Showed him how to stand better. And he's not listening to me.
Talking about your posture?
Yes. No, it's the way his legs are.
Yeah.
When he tries to lift.
Out, yeah.
It messes up his hips when he moves forward and stuff.
So.
But anyway, enough of this.
We watched the 7th episode of Castle Rock.
Mm-hmm. It was a good episode. Well, it got good at the end.
It was sad.
What's the other remake you're talking about?
There's a lot of remakes.
There's a Princess Bride. There's Lord of the Rings. What's the other one? One of you guys?
Snow White and Seven Dwarfs.
Oh, I know that one. That's gonna be terrible. Whatever.
They're doing a lot of remakes. So
it really is the year of the remakes. Oh, Exorcist is a remake.
The decade of the remakes.
The Exorcist is gonna be a trilogy. They said.
Let's see how the first one does before we jump on that excitement or disappointment train. Yeah. Well, we've watched a lot of movies that they look good on trailer, and then
very true. Very true.
Halloween Ends looked really good.
No, it didn't. It did not.
On trailer? Yes, it did.
Shut up, it did not.
Yes, it did.
It did not.
Totally did.
I knew it was going to be a dumpster fire from the moment
I knew it was going to be a dumpster fire because we watched the second one.
I remember watching the second one. I looked at you and I'm like, this is what we're watching? Look at it.
Are you talking about Halloween again?
Yes.
So we watched Castle Rock, episode 7. I think we got one more episode to go for the season, for the first season.
Yeah.
So his mother has dementia, and it's pretty much her. It's a rehash of the whole season, but from her version.
Yeah. All her jumping around. In
right.
Her mind.
Yes. Correct.
And how she sees everything through her dementia.
And I see how it would be a good episode if they had done it. I'd say episode 4, something like that. But instead they waited to the very end where you have to rehash the whole season.
But I was okay with that as well because it was leading up to something.
But yeah, well, I get it. And I said at the end, it's a good episode at the end. The last 15 minutes are great. It's great.
But I like because like you said, it was very hard at the beginning. But like you said, the last 15 minutes make everything worthwhile because on top of it, with the last 15 minutes, it kind of explains some of the crazy stuff she started doing throughout the series, though, because she was using it to recall.
Yeah. Well, she would say off the wall things, and obviously you knew it was because of her dementia. But now in this episode, it shows you why she said those off the wall things.
Yeah.
So
it was kind of like she was time traveling / dementia.
Right.
And that's what I liked is they pushed it as she might actually had supernatural powers and was jumping back and forth in her own body, in her mind.
Well,
you know what I mean?
If you remember in the beginning of the episode before it kind of goes into the whole her jumping back and forth and rehashing the episode, it says somebody says to her that if you kill the right person, you can reset the timeline.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what it's leaning to. I think it's kind of what it's going to because she's jumping back and forth.
Now,
right.
My thing is with how it ended. Do you think it's going to be because what they said about is they heard gunshots coming from behind her house. That's why he was called up to her house in the first place. But his secret motivation was he wanted to see her.
Correct. Right.
So, is that a loop by itself? Is her loop is she shot him, then she went and got ready for the next day, and then that morning he shows up and it starts all over again? That little time period?
You mean that's her? That she's jumping back and in
Kyle,
time,
did you know Did you know they were going to remake Roadhouse?
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God.
They're
Wow.
making,
That's
they're
been-
making it with. It's actually in production. It's been in production now for the last year.
Are they going to have like super tight jeans?
I hope.
It's going to be.
hope-
Conor McGregor is going to be.
Oh, gosh.
One of the villains.
Okay.
Are you sure? Because I know he got into a bunch of trouble. Now they're pulling a lot of his movies
Yeah.
that they want.
No, this was back in April.
Conor McGregor is going to be one of the villains.
Well, he's coming back because he has a reality TV show and stuff.
Well, he's doing the Ultimate Fighter right now.
Right, and so he's not in bad graces
Proper
with
12.
anybody, as far as I can tell. Yeah,
Did you ever try Proper 12? It's
sucks.
garbage. It's trash.
What the hell is that?
It's a Irish whiskey that he promotes.
Oh, okay. Well,
Give me your belt.
Give me your belt. Give me your belt. He hasn't been relevant. Listen, he has to stay relevant by any news possible.
You mean like Ronda Rousey did?
Yeah.
She's like, oh, I'm not relevant as a fighter anymore. I'm gonna join the WWE.
And don't get me wrong, he could have been a great fighter. He was a great fighter. I'll give it to him. He was a great fighter. But as we won that second belt, he went bonkers and thought he could do whatever. And,
He believed in his own hype.
yeah, right. And now he's not a good fighter anymore.
Yeah. He lost his drive to be a good fighter for the hype of everything.
He lost the second belt, thought he was bigger. He was bigger than anything. Didn't defend the belt for 2 years. Thought he was going to come back without training and
Who's that sound like?
do
Ronda
whatever.
Rousey.
Do
She
whatever.
trained, and then she got
And
knocked
he
out.
did it.
Well-
Same thing happened to him. He got knocked out.
he's a better fighter than Ronda Rousey was, though.
I mean, if
Because
you-
she had some huge glaring weaknesses compared to Conor, though. Comparatively.
well,
Not
Conor
saying-
lost because of laziness.
I'm not
No.
saying he didn't deserve to lose. I'm saying that he's a little more well-rounded
well,
than
their
she was.
weaknesses are the opposite.
Oh, he can't wrestle as well?
He can't wrestle.
Oh, okay.
He can't wrestle. Ronda can wrestle. Ronda can't strike. Connor's an elite striker.
Right. They're going to try to remake Arachnophobia, of all things.
Ooh, there you go, Kyle.
Fuck.
That was a good movie.
Oh,
He did tell me this the other day. They were scared of spiders.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Oh, he's
Not until
petrified of
Not until
spiders.
recently.
Well, no, you knew, but you didn't think it was as bad as it was.
He's petrified of them. Petrified. You can literally see him turn white.
They don't need to remake all Arachnophobia.
Yeah.
It's all-
Eight-Legged Freaks was a good. I liked Eight-Legged Freaks.
That's fine.
With
But that has nothing to do with Arachnophobia. Arachnophobia is just about a slightly mutated giant
Super
spider.
Yeah, right. Yes, I know. But I'm
Super
just,
spider.
I'm just
So
saying.
you don't need great effects in that. It's just about
That's the one with what's his name, right? He's the exterminator.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, what were we on about?
We were talking about if we thought she was traveling back in time
Oh yeah.
after she shot.
So yeah. Do you think because that's kind of how it felt to me? Because he said, "Remember when I first saw you after you said the shots came out from behind your house? Don't leave." And then that's how they ended the episode with somebody heard gunfire. He came. She got all dressed up, and then she went downstairs, and then, she relived
it
that.
could be, yeah.
Is that just in her mind? She's just doing this cycle now.
I think that.
I don't think it's actually.
I think it
she's
can
time
go.
traveling.
I think it can go one or two ways. Yeah, she's either time traveling, like you said. And if she's not time traveling, that trauma she's trying to block out, and she's going in her mind. She's going back in time.
Yes, and she's just recycling everything
Correct.
she
Yes.
remembers.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't think she's actually time traveling.
No.
She might be, because this is a
Well, this is a
Stephen
weird
King
universe.
thing,
Yeah, right.
and so it could be, but right now I feel like this is the only way she could cope was resetting everything
So
in her mind.
if
Using
I know
yourself in your
it
dimension.
doesn't. I know it doesn't go to the show or the movie, but like my grandmother had dementia, and one day she knew who you were, and the next day she was somebody else.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're trying to allude to.
Get out of my face.
I think that's what they're trying. Show me spiders.
Yeah, like a douchebag.
So.
Next time you come over here, I'm with the tripod.
See?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time he comes over, he's gonna hit with
I
a
like the
tripod.
little jumping ones. I think that's what it is. I think that her brain it's traumatizing to her, so she's
blocking it out.
blocking it out and resetting.
By,
she's resetting
it in
herself.
her mind.
Yeah,
too.
right.
Like that's what I figured too. It's gonna be like a trauma reset.
Yeah.
Like she's pushing herself in her own dementia so she can just relive the happy stuff over and over again.
I think so too. Yeah.
So I like that.
I think that when he's around, she remembers all the bad things, and I think that's why she doesn't like him around.
Yeah.
What's his name? Never did give his name, did he?
Yeah. Oh, I know what his name
Bill
is.
Skarsgård.
Bill Skarsgård. I know what his name is because I screwed up because I went to look up how many episodes there were, and they.
Oh yeah,
They
I got it.
spoiled
Yeah, they
part
give
of
you
it.
a part of it. Yeah,
Well,
right.
there are. This is unrelated. There are a few movies they could remake that would be good,
Yeah.
like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Oh my God, yes.
I don't think I've ever seen the original.
It has John Connery in it, and it's like those old like characters from like Sherlock Holmes or Alan Quartermain from like the Victorian era,
Yeah.
like all the swashbucklers and adventurers and stuff.
Mhm.
They just had them all together in kind of like a
Yeah.
early superhero thing, like the Invisible Man,
All right.
and they just went
Dr.
to
Jekyll
came
and
together.
Hyde.
They came together to try to save the world.
All right.
But like Alan Quartermain's like a opium addict, and the Invisible Man it has to be naked, and the girl from the Dracula novels is like only half vampire, and
She's super crazy and she has to eat people all the time.
yeah, so they had a movie of that, but it wasn't that.
Captain Nemo's in it, and he's super awesome because he prays the death god, so he pillages and kills.
Have you actually read the comics?
A little bit. I started to.
So anyway, that's unrelated, but that's one remake that could work. Because the first one was was good, but not quite as good as it could be.
Okay. So
Don't die there.
I have some other stuff that.
You alright, man?
Take a drink of water.
You want to pat on the back there, buddy?
No, I.
Down the wrong tube. We get it.
No, when I was talking,
Choking your own spit.
no, I breathed something in.
He choked on his own spit.
Maybe. But then, whatever I choked on, it made me throw up a little bit in my mouth, so my throat burns. You know what I mean? When
Yeah.
it comes up a little bit.
Yeah, I got
so
you.
my throat burns right now.
So we got that episode in.
We got an episode of
We have 2
What We Do in the
episodes of What We Do in the Shadow.
yeah, they were good.
This is a great season, actually. This is a really good
Yeah, this
season.
was a really good season.
I forget. The first episode is the news where the water main
Yeah.
breaks.
So the first episode, the water main breaks on the street, and Nandor's outside, and they interview him, and he kind of slips a little bit, letting them know he's immortal, but not fully enough that anyone cared or thought he was an actual vampire.
But because he let it slip, he thought it was bigger than what it was.
So he thought it was gonna be a new vampire hunt. So he went to the house and told everyone. Everyone starts freaking out. Najia's whole thing is we need to run away and change her hair, so she dyes her hair.
She's like
A prepper.
yeah, she's like a doomsday prepper. Like she has everyone's bags packed, ready for
She has go
a
bags.
quick to go bag.
Yeah, go bags with
So she's
disguises and
packing
stuff.
everyone's shit up, and they don't want to Nandor and
Nandor's trying to figure out a way to deal with it. Laszlo's like, I came up with a 12-point plan to solve all this.
Laszlo. Listen, my favorite part of that episode is where they try to kidnap her right on live TV.
Yeah,
great.
so the chick's on live TV this whole time discussing this thing, and then look, they pull up their car behind her and they get out and they start running at her with a.
They have this old school knapsack.
It was a potato bag. It was
Yeah,
an
old school
potato sack.
old school cloth potato bag that they're gonna shove over her head and put her in the car. It's on live TV. You can see him sneaking up on her.
But before that, they had Nandor went back out and tried to explain he wasn't a vampire, and was just trying to make something up, and he tried to hypnotize everyone over the screen, and it didn't work. And then the other chick, who's the new addition to the cast, she went out and was like, "We want peace."
We don't want to. We're just like you, and nobody understands what they're talking about, obviously. And
I think they're just crazy
Guillermo's part in the show is kind of off.
people. He's
He's trying to tell his mom he's not gonna be able to see her as much, and
he's never coming back because he's gonna be a vampire because his whole family are vampires hunters. That you find out in later seasons that his whole family are vampire hunters.
well, they have Van Helsing blood in them.
Yeah, I got that much.
But yeah, they're all vampire hunters because
I did see the part where he just exploded at one guy.
Yeah.
He didn't even realize he just kind of exploded him
Yeah,
somehow.
that was pretty funny. Yeah.
kind of.
He was like, oh, "What happened?"
So I think I asked you this before. I don't remember. Did you watch any of it, season wise?
Not part of the movie.
The movie's actually pretty good. It is a good movie.
But
You should watch the show. It actually is pretty good.
look, the only person in that I even know really about is the guy who played Toast.
Matt Berry.
He's one of the best. He's one of the best characters in the.
He's so stupid and everything he does.
I know, but that's what's great about him, though.
I do like the Vampire Council because it had Wesley Snipes on.
It was all
Yeah.
It was all actors.
I like how he looks at him. He's like, "Is that Wesley Snipes?" Like he's even like, "Is that Laszlo's?" Like, "Is that Wesley?" So, anyways, Guillermo's trying to tell his mom that he's not gonna be able to see her, and he's like all depressed and like sad about it. And he walks out her door to leave, and she's like,
She's talking to his
she's
brother.
talking to his cousin,
Oh.
and she's like, "Yeah, he comes here and does this all the time. $20 says he'll be back next week."
While he was a vampire?
Yeah.
So they don't mind really for some reason?
No.
They
that
can't
he always
sense
puts
it
up
yet.
some kind
They
of
Well, he's not. He can't transform. He has no vampire powers really. He has like semi powers.
No.
It's on and off. It's like
Because he has
switching
Van
back.
Helsing blood.
Yeah,
it doesn't
right.
work all
No,
the
he's
way.
sl-
I think so. I
He's
think that's what
slowly
it is.
turning. They said he's slowly turning, like in the last episode.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be what we said though. I think he's not gonna be able to turn completely.
Yeah, something's happening. But so far, all we know is he's slowly getting powers. They're on and off, kind of like pseudo transforming. But his thing is he's gone to his mom all kinds of times with drama, saying, "I'll never come back, and I'll never see you again. I'll miss you so much." And then she's so used to him being dramatic that
Yeah, she's like walking on. She's like, "Yeah, he does this all the time. I better be back next week." So, how's that one end?
that episode.
Yeah.
Remember?
Oh,
he's
he-
talking to the camera, and then he
Yeah,
goes to
because
walk
he's
out.
trying to leave. He's trying to leave. Yeah.
Colin Robinson. His whole thing is we
He
have
has-
to kill everybody.
He has like a doomsday scenario himself, but it's not to leave. It's to stay and fight.
yeah.
So he has his house booby trapped with like spikes and knives and bombs and everything.
He's
So
put,
when
like, bombs
Guillermo's
and all the stuff that are
Guillermo's trying to pack
tripwire.
his bags and leave.
Mm-hmm.
So he steps in. He steps into the hallway to leave, and he hits like a tripwire,
and all the traps
and like
go
all
off.
these traps go off, like arrows fling at him and spikes, and this like
fire and
a bomb goes off, and he has like one of those
guillotine.
guillotine swings
Pendulum
by.
swings. And it's funny, and then
He turns around, he's like, "What the fuck was that?"
and then also what made it funny is Guillermo's like, "All right,
Choking your own shit again.
Dude, you gotta.
no, my throat's still burning." He's like, "All right." The vampire's like, "No, we got this. We don't need you, Guillermo. You weren't here when this all went down." So he's like, "Fine, I'll leave you to it." So their solution was to kidnap the chick who was who filmed them because they accidentally used their powers.
Oh, that's right. That's how it ended.
They accidentally used their powers in front of her. And they go to kidnap her, and she takes off to the station to, show the recording of them flying and using their vampire powers. They get to the station.
And they erase everyone's minds.
They hypnotize everybody, and then all the vampires take over the newscast. So you have Nandor and Naja
are the
as the main cast, and they're talking about stuff. And they're like, "Let's go to weather with Colin Robinson," and they shoot over to him.
Oh yeah.
And he's standing there with a green vest on, so the weather stuff's going on over his chest.
Yeah.
And there's a big blood stain across the screen.
Because the lady from the Vampire Council and she's down in the corner and she's like biting the neck of some
She's
girl
chewing
and
on
it's the
the
blood
weather girl.
spraying on the
Yeah, she's chewing on the weather
and
girl.
she like looks up and sees she's on
She's covered
camera.
in
She like
blood.
slowly drags the body out
with blood all over her face. And then Colin gives like the weather. And then she's like, "Let's go to sports with my dear husband, Laszlo." And then he says like two things and then goes, it's so funny.
Like I said, the only
And then they hypnotize everybody over the screen.
the only thing I remember, that's the only episode I saw, was the one where the elder got murdered by Guillermo or whatever.
Guillermo, yeah.
And then like Tilda Swinton. The reason why Tilda Swinton and Wesley Snipes were in it is because they're both in vampire movies.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
obviously.
it was
Tilda
every,
Swinton
it was
was-
every actor that was in a vampire
Tilda
movie
Swinton
in
was in Last Lovers Left Alive.
Yeah.
They could have. Too bad they didn't get Tom Hiddleston because he was in that movie too.
They mentioned him.
Because he's in that movie.
Yeah.
He was like a rock musician, but a vampire too.
I think it's hilarious, Laszlo's reaction. He's like, "Isn't that?" He's like, "That's fucking Wesley Snipes."
And the feed kept going, getting glitchy,
Yeah.
and he couldn't.
And they're like, your Wi-Fi sucks. You go, "No, your Wi-Fi sucks." So, and Danny Trejo's in it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Danny Trejo.
Because he was in
From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yep.
I remember that. I forgot he was in that. He was in like every Mexican movie that came to America back then.
Yep.
Yeah.
We always played the giant secondary guy to the main villain. And they always made him seem like he was really big and tall and rough. Because he was jacked. He still is jacked.
Yeah.
But he's not tall. But they did the same thing they did with...
What's his name from the Green Mile? Yeah. What the hell is his name?
Dan, who's the guy who played Kingpin?
John Coffey.
John Coffey, Kingpin, Daredevil with the Ben Affleck.
Fucking god damn it. I forget his stupid damn name. He was in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. No.
Michael Clark Duncan.
Yeah, Michael Clark.
Oh, I thought you meant the new one.
No.
Oh, I already knew that. I was just...
Yeah, Michael Clark Duncan.
You weren't specific. The Kingpin. Which one?
I said Ben Affleck.
Whatever. I don't need that movie anymore. It's not part of my life. I'm never going to remember it.
Anyways.
Oh, that's gross.
The weirdo, like, 90s music video fight scene in the playground for some reason in that movie. I don't know if you've seen it. It's terrible.
Yes, I watched that movie in theaters.
Oh, he's talking to me now.
It was back when Jennifer Garner was like a big TV star before it came out.
She's back for Deadpool 3, by the way.
As Elektra.
As Elektra.
Oh, that's terrible.
Is it, though?
The Elektra movie was terrible. The only good part about that movie was Terrence Stamp and ninjas in white for some reason. They had ninjas in white clothing coming out of the trees. I don't know what
never seen.
How? It was daylight, but so what? It was weird. Anyway.
And then the next episode is Laszlo injected a bunch of frogs with Guillermo's DNA.
He's trying to figure out how to stop Guillermo from turning into a vampire.
So he doesn't.
Because his whole thing is they don't want him to turn into a vampire from. Because the vampire you service is the one that's supposed to turn you into a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't turn you, it's like a great shame for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's like being cuckolded by your wife.
Right, yeah. So Laszlo's trying to figure out how to stop him from turning into a vampire. So he's trying to figure out why Guillermo also can't use his powers.
Mm-hmm.
So he injected these frogs with his blood. And he's like, Guillermo, come here, look. And he's like, opens his box and he's these 3 toads. And he's like,
they're fat and have his hair.
They have his hair and everything. And he's like, what the hell is that? And he's like, I injected him with your blood. He goes, why? He's like,
science.
He's like, science. Just shut up and look.
And then he throws the frogs off a balcony. And they all use their levitating powers right before they hit.
So he's like, that's what the problem is. He goes, you need to be scared to start to use your powers. And he's like, jump off this balcony. And he's like, oh. And he's like, listen, Nandor's going to be busy for like another 3 minutes. Jump off this damn balcony and see if your powers work. And he was like, all right, whatever. So he goes to jump. And when he does, he starts floating. He's like, hey, look, I'm doing it. And Laszlo's like, yeah, sweet. And Nandor comes through. He yells Guillermo's name. And Guillermo gets distracted and nervous and falls.
Breaks his
He breaks his leg and ankle, and it twists all the way around.
Mm-hmm.
So he's laying face down, but his foot is face up.
The opposite way.
And like they're like, oh my, what happened to him? And all of a sudden, Colin Robinson has a big black eye. And they're like, oh well, fuck Guillermo, what happened to you? So like Guillermo's laying there the whole time with like this floppy foot.
He's like, help me.
He's like, help me. And they're like, shut the hell up, Guillermo. And
You're listening, Colin Robinson. He's so interesting. And then Colin Robinson's having problems because of his black eye. He became interesting because everyone wants to know about his black eye. So he's starving to death now because he's not being able to suck people's energy.
Yeah.
That was funny. There's so many good.
And then they find out
Nausea
takes him to like a
familiar
it's
hospital.
like a vet. It's like a vet for familiars. So like she takes him to the quote unquote hospital,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really all vampire doctors treating like
familiars.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's
And they're
he's
like,
oh, we should put him
do you
down.
remember the South Park episode where Butters gets hit in the eye with a ninja star?
Yeah.
Do you remember when they take him to the vet and he's like,
Oh, isn't that the one where he wanders into like a junkyard and stuff?
Yeah, too.
Yeah, he does that too. So they take him to the vet and the vet's like, oh, we're going to have to put the poor guy down.
Instead of trying to give him
Instead of trying to like do anything for him,
they're just
Yeah.
like, let's kill him.
So that's pretty much what this doctor does. He's like, oh, going to have to put your familiar down.
Yeah, because the first thing he's like, oh, well, you know, they'll heal up in about 2 or 3 days, but your familiar's done for. They're all going downhill from here. They hit 40 or 50, and that's it for them. You should just put them down and get a new one.
Yeah.
Like, everything's put them down.
So he takes
Guillermo
back, and he's like, "Your familiar's legs healing surprisingly fast,
Unusually fast.
unusually fast." He goes, "We're gonna do some blood work."
So Nadja freaks out because she thinks they're going to find the Helsing DNA.
And
him
really, they find out he's
turning a vampire. So now we're on to that.
that movie came out in like 2012 or something like that, didn't it?
Yeah. I think. I don't know.
I think it was originally like a theater thing or something.
I was straight to DVD or something like that.
What We Do in the Shadows?
The original movie.
Yeah, I think so. Because it was at the library when I was working there.
Yeah, so
And that's the only thing I saw.
Anyways, it ends with
Nadja finding.
Nadja finding out and keeping it a secret from Nandor as well.
Yeah. So now Dan gets his talking time
About what?
about Twisted Metal episode 3 or 4 or whatever what you want.
Or 2. 'cause
Ew. I thought
Oh, you didn't talk to us too much about 2 because you didn't want to spoil it for us, but we haven't been able to see it. I haven't.
I told you about 2
Did you?
already.
Okay. Well, tell us.
That
about
was
three
the-
Oh,
then.
that was the fight. That
That
was
was
the
the
fight.
one
You're
that-
right. That was the fight in the casino.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a fight. He was just playing with him.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
told us.
And
about
then
it.
he captures him, and then he shows him about the guy he starved to death
I do remember
in
you
a giant
saying
fish
that
tank.
now.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
and then he said, wouldn't it be better to have 2 people for an audience instead of 1? And then he convinced him to go out marauding
Yeah.
across the country.
Yeah, you
Anyway,
said that.
so there's going to be a big showdown at some point between the Law and Order dude, because the third one's basically about
That's the cop car.
yeah, they were stopping at a checkpoint, didn't listen. It was trying to talk his way through the checkpoint,
Yeah.
and then they just tell him to get out of the car and then taser him, and then take all their stuff. And so you have to see the backstory of the main Law and Order guy,
Yeah.
where he was like a mall cop back in 2002, because it's like 20 years before that.
Okay.
This is like in 2030, so it's been like 25 years.
Oh, all right. I got you.
And so, like a big EMP actually broke down all electronics. Because there was like a meteor shower or something.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Or something like that. Because there's
So like a solar flare or something like that.
something like that. Because what they were showing is he was a mall cop, and some girls were like bragging about how they stole cigarettes or whatever, and they got smoke, and he says, you're not allowed to do that. Give me your cigarettes. And then like planes are flying out of the air, and like ATMs are spouting out off money and stuff, and like a meteor looked like, or maybe a volcano or something. I don't know what it was. So anyway, the whole thing is about how the world went to hell, and like Anthony Mackie's character, no, John Doe, basically they were being interrogated and tortured and stuff because his mentor is a guy who made a map for all the messengers to get around all the other guy's stuff.
Yeah. All right.
So he didn't like him. He wanted him to be shut down, so he's trying to torture him to get the information. He's like, he's the only man I trust, so I'm not going to break for you. They're like waterboarding him and stuff. And the other girl, who he forced her brother to shoot himself, hates him too, so that didn't work. And so the whole thing was basically about how he ended up, like everyone kept doing whatever the hell they wanted to do after the apocalypse, basically, and then he started to be really hardcore about rules and stuff.
Okay.
So he took over basically a mall in Topeka, where he's from.
Topeka,
Yes,
Kansas.
yeah,
Okay.
that's where his headquarters is.
All right.
And so basically he just has a bunch of checkpoints all over the place, try to like shut down everything, but it's not working. So by the end you have one guy helping them get out of there because they're going to be murdered.
Okay.
Because the station the one guy was at a dam, so they're just going to go through the spillway and like push them off.
All right.
But one guy didn't feel right about all the torture they were doing to people.
So I watched the first episode, like I told you. Do any of the cars have like weaponry?
So far, they haven't really done a lot of that yet because they're still setting up characters.
Right.
So in this one, they're setting up the police guy or the whatever dictator guy,
Yeah.
and then they have Sweet Tooth, and then they have John Doe, which is the main dude, and then they have the girl. Have you ever seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine before?
I can't stand the show, but yes.
You remember the taller Hispanic girl?
Yep.
She's the sister of the guy who had to shoot himself.
Okay.
So she was branded by the guy, and she was with John Doe, and then they got out. But before that, one of the dudes that helped capture them when her brother got shot, she pistol whipped him to death. Right before.
To death.
Once they got out, because
Don't just shoot him.
she caught him in the control room, and she asked him where the main guy was,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't tell her. So he was like, pleasuring himself
Okay.
while in a chair. So she fucking bashed his head in constant. It was like blood everywhere.
All right.
And then there was a map on the wall, and it had the big one right in the middle, and
she figured it out.
then when she
Right.
gets out, she acts all innocent, and she goes, John Doe goes, "You want me to? I'm going to New Chicago. You want me to drop you? Yeah, there's this great place in Topeka that I can, find a sanctuary and stuff." But she wants to
Right.
go there to murder him.
Yeah. Obviously. Yeah.
So
right.
it's gonna be so far. Sweet Tooth, the law guy, John Doe, and her
Right.
are gonna be marauding around for eventually.
There was a who was the? Correct me if I'm wrong. There was a guy in the game that was just a black dude with his arms
Axel.
out. Is that who it was?
Yep. As
And
Axel.
his arms were out, and his arms were the tires, and he would drive around.
Yeah,
and that's
because
how he
he's
would drive
welded
around.
into there.
Yeah.
Because he made a. Now, the whole premise of Twisted Metal was a deal with the devil. It's all a deal with the devil. He creates these tournaments to grant wishes to anybody who will do this.
Yeah. Right.
And that was Axel's whole storyline. Is he won a previous tournament, wished for something, and his ironic twist was he became his vehicle.
Guy.
He's like permanently attached to his vehicle.
I don't see how that character could work in this, considering there's no devil angle.
Yeah, so not yet at least.
I used to
No.
love the games. I used to love the games.
They were fun.
That's good, running around blowing up things.
After like the third one, you could create your own vehicle and create your own specialty and
Yeah.
shit.
Was that 3 or Black?
3.
Okay.
Black is when they got super back into the ultra-violent seriousness of it.
Oh, okay.
But anything else on that, Dan?
It's basically like a paramilitary. Like the one guy who helped them was like the partner of the other guy who got really into it.
Yeah.
So it was left uncertain what happened to the dude that helped him. So maybe he's being tortured, maybe he's dead. I don't know.
So the show is pretty much like a post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah. There's still some places, but it's mostly rich people,
Right.
So we'll see what happens because they're gonna have to do something here with it soon.
Have you watched any of the Futuramas yet?
Watched the first one. I haven't really paid attention to very much.
This last one wasn't as good.
Nah, this last one wasn't that great.
It was definitely a letdown in comparison. Had to plug in my phone before it died. So yeah, I mean, we got nothing really. Me and you are gonna get together and catch up on the other stuff, which is like what, one episode of Futurama.
One episode of Futurama is the only thing we got left.
Okay.
Well, we got another episode or two of Castle Rock, but we got to wait for
Cheetah.
Cheetah to do that one.
That's fine.
The only thing I was watching was
Oh, we did watch. Me and you watched something, Dan.
what, the Harry Potter series again?
No, I got you to watch the Baki the Grappler, the new season of that.
What is it?
So
It's not as good as the old one, mostly because they don't have weird demon muscles in it, in my opinion. But that's my thing.
So Baki the Grappler was the original one was like an early 80s, 90s when like anime very first started.
Yeah.
It was about a kid whose dad like the best fighter in the world. Like no one can hold a candle against him. And his dad's crazy because he can't find anyone to challenge him, so he goes and has kids so he can, raise a kid to be as strong as him so he has someone to fight.
It's actually kind of like... actually, there's a comic book character sort of like him. But he's not a fighter. What's his name? What's the immortal guy from DC who's like a caveman? I forget his stupid name.
Vandal Savage.
Vandal Savage. He does the same thing. But anyway,
Yeah, so
he does the same
the whole concept is this kid's life, like, of him being a fighter,
Uh-huh.
and he gets to be like 16, and then he goes to challenge his dad to his fight after he's beaten all these great fighters that are adults for some reason. A 16-year-old kid can take out people, and then his dad kills his mom, and then it's ongoing with his life about what he's trying to do to be a better fighter. Also, he can beat his dad. That's all he wants to do. He does not care about anything other than just beating his dad. And it's a crazy show because they started getting really crazy with it, where they found a preserved caveman in a block of ice.
Yeah.
And they revive him.
And on all.
So then,
yes, and cavemen coexisted with dinosaurs and punched them punched them to death.
Nice.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So it's crazy. So this caveman, so they're all like, they look at this caveman, they all realize he's like, oh, this dude's actually really strong. We should fight him to prove we're better than him. And so it's a bunch of alpha dudes trying to fight a caveman.
So basically, it's a bunch of weird.
So I would imagine that the caveman, in all reality, let's say the cavemen were probably way stronger than we are.
Yeah, and that's the whole concept. Is
But this is
way crazier than
the things that kill me are dinosaurs and humans coexisting.
Which obviously, we know didn't happen.
Humans punching out dinosaurs.
Obviously, we know it weren't going to happen.
And also, they kept changing the historical era in which he lived.
Yeah.
At one point, it was Jurassic, then they said Cretaceous at the end. I'm like, that's millions of years apart.
Right.
Doesn't make any sense. And I'm with like, it has to be consistent with me.
Right. Yeah, I'm the same way.
So anyway, then they have a thing with the main, like, the father of Baki, where he's like the badass, and he's walking through town, and everybody's like scared of him because they can feel the primal fear or whatever
in their cells
or whatever they
so
talked
crazy.
about. And then he meets his other old fighter who he like ripped his eye out when they were younger, and then he offers him a drink. He goes, "Let's get some Wixie," and he pulls the bottle upside down and like breaks it in half with his fingers, and it doesn't spill out. It
perfectly cuts. It's
so there's a lot of stupid stunts like that, and then they go, "It's not magic." I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they do crazy stuff, and then they do pseudoscience to explain how they did this, but it would never work. I love the show, and the next.
Oh no, that wasn't the best part. Remember the first fight with the caveman, where they're like at the beginning, the whole crowd were doing like kiosk stuff with their, doing like kata,
like karate stuff.
Yeah. And, like, there was, like, a wave that they showed, and it's not chi, of course, whatever. And then he's a karate dude, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to absorb all of it. I'm so strong." And then he freaking punches the guy so hard, the flesh on his forearms shreds off, and you see his bones.
Because he throws his punch faster than the speed of sound.
And then
it hit like Mach 3.
And then they were talking about how the caveman guy always ate his opponents if he won. So he let him eat his arm. And then like they see him in the hospital with no arm, drinking tea, and they discuss how they ferment the tea, and he's like super calm about it. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with you people?
What the fuck are you guys watching?
And also right before that fight, he learned a new technique from a weird guy, and he's like, I'm putting more ripples in my bones.
Yeah, more joints in his bones. They're like, I can make my bones elastic by imagining they're elastic.
That's the primary pseudo science thing. But like, you know how bones are smooth?
Yeah.
Like they showed the inside of his forearm, and it was like a little ridges. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. And then he like punches a bag and like explodes all the windows on the floor he was on. And I'm like,
it's a very anime power fantasy for normal humans. It's really crazy and doesn't make that they're supposed to be doing.
This is an anime?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're also trying to remake Akira of all things.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
So, like the seasons after this, like that was a crazy season. The other ones get better as they use the technology that helped revive the caveman. They learn how to do a cloning process. They bring back a guy from like feudal Japan, Musashi Miyamoto, and then they use a witch to put his soul into the body so he can come back and fight guys for no reason.
The reason why Kyle likes this is because it involves like a historical figure, something that doesn't make any sense, and also it makes him insane. He loves when characters go insane for some reason. He loves them when they're crazy. Like they do random stuff.
Crazy characters are fun.
And he's the...
So...
Oh! Also, the proposed Akira film is going to be directed by said Taika Waititi.
I don't know who that is.
The guy who directed What We Did in the Shadows, who we spoke about before. The New Zealand guy. Or Thor. How about Thor? You know what Thor is?
Yes.
Thor Ragnarok?
Oh my god.
Listen to me for once.
Never. So yeah, so we got a lot of things coming up. We got a lot of interesting things. Hopefully next time we get back to you, we're gonna watch Last Trip of Demeter. I just didn't have time to do it this week.
It's got good reviews.
Yep, we'll get to that.
So it's a non-suspenseful film about how everybody gets murdered by Dracula.
Like we could.
We don't warn anybody. It just ends up sinking because he murdered everybody. Is that what it's about?
So far,
There might be, as far as I can tell, the best ending I can think of is like one guy lives and becomes a slave or something. Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, because I remember that in the old Dracula novels. It didn't end well for that.
I think it like wandered in the harbor.
Yeah, it wandered in the harbor.
And there's like nobody left, but they just dragged into the harbor anyway, and they just got unloaded the whole cargo, and he was in one of the like things.
Yeah, his casket was in one of the.
And that's how he got to London. So it's how he got to London in the middle of the novel or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
So it's very weird. Like it looks really good, but it also at the same time, just like Rogue One, you knew how it was gonna end.
We had an argument about this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if
And he was like, Rogue One, they all had to die. I go, none of them really had to die, but okay, whatever.
well, I mean, then you shouldn't watch any movies that you read the books of.
Well, I'm not. That is a good point actually, because I already read Dracula, so.
Well, I know, I understand what you're getting to because you know how it ends because of the book, but don't watch any movies that you read the books of then.
Yeah, because then.
Well, there are some.
Or the comic books of.
That's
no point. That's no point in watching the movies
Well,
because
there's
you
no-
know how
that's
the
not-
comic books and the books end.
Well, number one, I don't like horror movies, and number two, it's obvious what the ending's gonna be.
Well, yeah, right. That's what I mean. Like, don't.
But as far as like comic books and stuff go, I want to know if the translation's right, or if they get the characterization correct, or anything of the other things. Plus, I like comic books. I don't like horror movies nor horror fiction, so I guess that whatever.
I mean, well, that's fine that you don't
That's
like. I mean, that's. I totally understand why you don't like horror movies, but I'm just saying, like.
Well, I understand what you're saying too.
So we all agree.
Yeah,
We're all on the same page.
We all understand each
Look,
other.
we agreed on
That's
something
the
else.
fourth thing. Here at the Alpha Nerd Podcast, we've all decided we can never really agree on anything. It's either usually a 2-to-1 vote on everything, except for like 4 different things. Number 1, Ezra Miller sucks ass. We all agree on that.
Halloween
And sucks ass. We all agree on that. We just all agreed that, on the subject we just talked about with Dan.
As far as like,
What was the other thing we said?
No, there wasn't a third one. What was it? The fourth one.
There was another one. I can't remember it.
as far as the movie we're just speaking about goes, it's well done. The period parts of it are good.
Well, they're doing a Nosferatu movie too with Willem Dafoe.
See, I could be into that because they're going further back, which Nosferatu is different from Dracula. It's not the same vampire, so I feel like that's not been done, so that's can be interesting.
Well, as far as like the set design and how they did the ship and all that stuff, I can see the quality of it.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not,
Yeah.
I get it. It's just like me saying I don't like the MCU movies. I can't stand them.
I don't like
Because
them.
they're very formulaic.
I don't like them.
can't-
I don't like them anymore.
I've never really liked them.
But you don't really.
But like I understand why people like them.
you
Like
don't
I
really
get
like
it.
superhero anything.
Right.
anyways.
Well, I think that's why I like Deadpool because he's not like that typical. He's a smartass.
Yeah. Ooh.
I don't like ones that have like the overpowering power. I don't.
Then
like,
again,
I don't
there's
like-
only a few movies in the MCU that will really work by themselves anyway. So.
Captain America 1,
Yeah.
Winter Soldier,
Yeah.
Iron Man 1,
I
Iron Man
like
2.
I liked Captain America, the first one.
Winter Soldier was really better.
I liked this Winter Soldier. I liked Iron Man 1.
Iron Man 2 was really good.
I forget. Iron Man 2, which one was that? The one with the guy?
Whiplash.
Yeah, yep.
That was good.
Okay.
Iron Man 3 was the sucky one.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I thought Superman was okay. Man of Steel, whatever the fuck you want to call it. The Justice League, the Batman versus Superman, I made it like 40 minutes into the movie and shut it off.
Good job.
You did it.
Good job.
It was
You're
bad.
right. You were correct.
You were right.
That is an awful movie,
We're correct.
and the end is terrible.
Martha.
Why did they have to make like Doomsday look like a troll from Lord of the Rings? Or a mudman?
I've never seen that. I shut it off after 40 minutes.
Well,
It was bad.
yeah, whatever. Just think of a big pile of mud you used to like make into a person when you were a little kid.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like.
It was not good.
It's basically what Clayface should look like.
Yeah.
He's in a Batman villain that has like magical turns into clay and stuff.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like a big mud man. It's stupid.
He's one of Batman's very few.
And then at the end they go, Superman has to fall on the kryptonite spear that they made because he's the only one who could do it. No, Wonder Woman, who's super fast and is immune to kryptonite, couldn't do it. No.
Yeah, no,
That would make too much
'cause,
sense.
Batman created a kryptonite spear for no reason,
Right.
to kill somebody. The thing that Batman never does, on purpose. He was deliberately going to kill Superman because he's like, "What if Superman turns evil? We couldn't stop him, so I'm going to kill him just in
that
case."
whole through line was messed up because like Batman's all like pissed off at Superman for like letting the whole city go down, but instead of going, "Hey Superman, well we gotta talk," which he
Yeah,
normally does,
Right.
and he goes, "If you mess up again, I'm gonna have to go after you." But instead of that, he just goes all out and gets like power armor and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and he was just training just in case Superman turns evil, I gotta kill him.
Cause like,
Okay, well, you suck, Batman.
You suck, Batman.
and then they go, okay.
You will not sink this puck, you jackass.
And then we have well, there's a lot of things wrong with the movie, but the kryptonite spear that Wonder Woman should have been using.
Yeah, or Batman himself, because guess what Batman was doing that whole fight? Dodging them.
Right.
Easily dodging them.
And then there's the whole thing with Lex Luthor being a little, I don't know what to call him.
What the hell is that? What movies was that guy in?
Zombie,
he was
Zombieland.
in
Zombieland.
Okay.
Zombieland, and he
The
was
skinny kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
and then he was also the kid in the stupid Magicians one.
Oh, they're good movies. Now you see me.
Yeah, they're okay. I hate him as an actor.
They're good movies.
The rest, I like the movies. Let me put it like that. I like them, but I hate him as a character. I wish they would just find somebody else to play that kid.
Like he feels about.
Yeah.
About who? Everyone hates Ezra Miller. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you couldn't stand. Who was it? Every time we bring him up, he's like, "I can't stand him. He sucks."
Oh. Well, I'm gonna go back to the archive.
There's a lot of them. Anyway.
But yeah, so he played Lex Luthor, and then he's like, "Hey, General, you're gonna sneak this alien body out of Area 51 for me, even though you're a low-class general. Let me put a Jolly Rancher in your mouth."
Because the primary conflict in that movie makes no sense. Because if Batman had a problem with Superman, he should have said that. And then also, Superman did knock down a ton of buildings in Midtown Metropolis.
And killed a bunch of people.
All of a sudden, he's a hero?
Yeah.
Why would he be a hero?
Now, if it was like some of his other fights where he gets knocked through a building, and then he breaks off the fight to save everybody real fast.
Because the problem with that hero thing was that in the first movie, what they should have did was have him try to take the fight out of Metropolis.
Right.
But then Zod goes back to Metropolis, and he has to fight him there.
Right.
Because otherwise he destroyed more of it.
Yeah.
But he still gets blamed
And he's
for
losing
it.
a fight to Zod because Zod keeps trying to put other people into it.
Right, that's the way
So he's like distracted.
That's usually the way they have to do it, but they never did it that way.
No. And then he just breaks his neck for instantly.
Which I have no problem with.
I do.
Why?
The only way they could... Okay.
The only way he had to kill him to save
No,
the
he
people.
didn't. All he'd do is this. Cover his eyes.
Well, number one, what they could have did was... The only other way they could have did it is it had somehow found a secondary Phantom Zone generator.
Yeah, but that's...
Because that's where he's imprisoned the first time.
Right.
But I can get with the not having another thing, but the just straight... He had the strength to break his neck, but he didn't have the strength to keep him from turning his head. Do you understand where my issues are with that? Because he's like, I'm going to kill them. You can't
Why didn't
stop
he just
me.
choke him out?
Yeah. He was already choking him. He was already holding his head, but he's like...
What they could have...
If he had the strength to break his neck, he has the strength to go this way.
Why? He just went with the move.
Well, they could have... What they could
Just went with the movement of his neck.
But then he would have killed him.
It
No,
would've
he
been
broke
easy-
his neck the opposite way.
It would have been easier
Because he was going this way, and he
All
broke
right,
his neck this way.
you're arguing about a stupid point anyway.
No, you're stupid.
basically what I'm saying
before
is...
we get on to nonsensical rants, we're going to end the show here, because this is going to...
No, what I'm saying, this one more thing.
Yes, one more
basically, what they could have did is have them choke him out, then they have a weird emergency session, so they find the Phantom Zone generator still around, but they have to power it somehow, and then they throw him back in the Phantom Zone, but the thing doesn't work anymore. That's the easy fix for that.
Yes, there's a lot of easy fixes.
Because he always goes back to the Phantom Zone and always comes back.
Yeah.
But anyway,
All right,
they didn't want to pay Michael Shannon anymore.
That's where I see it.
Apparently, he's back in the freaking Flash movie.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, for like a hot minute. I saw clips of that. We're not going to talk about that.
The film that shall not be named.
Yes. The Flush. So, see you in 2 weeks.
Sorry. Thanks. Bye.
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 That was sad.
That was sad.